Hey everybody, I'm here with a friend of mine, Jim, and we're in Cebu City, and he's a world traveler. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing good.
Welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
Of all the countries you've been to, what has been your favorite so far?
I get asked that a lot, and it's kind of, there's places I like a lot. There's good and bad things everywhere. So I think the important thing is to figure out what you like, what you want the most. Are you a city person? Are you a nature person? I like both, and I have a hard time choosing, so that's kind of why I'm nomadic. It's like I'll go to one place till I get tired of it, and then I go somewhere else, or I go for the season. In Southeast Asia, you've got monsoon season half the year, in places like Philippines or Thailand, and then you can go down to Bali the other half of the year, so you can get the best of both worlds. So a lot of people, split between those two. A lot of times I'll go back to Colorado for the summer, visit my family, and then come back to Southeast Asia for the winter or Latin America.
Now, one of the places you mentioned, Bali. A lot of my viewers have mentioned Indonesia as a retirement destination. How did you like Bali?
I love Bali. It's one of my favorite places. Traffic is bad, so you need to travel early in the morning or late. But the jungles are magnificent, waterfalls are magnificent. There's a strong art culture, music. A lot of people, for the United States, it sounds exotic, but Bali's been, a big travel route for Australians, Europeans. So when you go to Kuta or Seminyak, that's like going to Cancun, Mexico. You've got party zone, you've got cheap mass amount of tourism in those areas. But then when you step away from there, you've got beautiful jungle places, waterfall places, amazing surfing beaches, some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, and it's really affordable, and you can get healthy food.
You can get healthy food. Now, I spoke with a guy, his name was Buddy, he lives in Thailand. He was talking about, there seems to be a lot of backpackers coming through Thailand and Indonesia. Is that something you noticed?
That's true, but Thailand also is one of the extreme tourist trail destinations. So it sounds exotic for an American, but you can go there and find a group of high school girls on spring break from Europe traveling there. So it depends on where you go in Thailand, but it's safe. Women travelers go there a lot alone for their yoga retreats and things like that. Almost anywhere in Thailand is safer than almost anywhere in the United States. If you look at the crime statistics in Bangkok, a major city, they're going to be lower than almost any city or town in the United States.
You find more of the crime would be, a Thai person against another Thai, against a foreigner. A foreigner seems to be a little bit more safe.
Other than some of the little scams, little tuk-tuk taxi scam or something like that, maybe, if you're not super careful with a bag, it might get snatched or something, but not as likely as it would in a public place in the U.S., I don't think.
So I think it's more crimes of opportunity. If you leave your camera and you leave.
And it's most likely from a poor foreigner that's there, a backpacking foreigner, than it is from a Thai. It's just as likely, that's probably your more likely situation is, from another foreigner. Those are where the biggest scams are, usually foreigner to foreigner.
Now, you've been to Mexico. A lot of people talk about retiring into Mexico and Central America and such. How did you find Mexico as, maybe, since you traveled, but as a retirement destination?
It's changing so fast, and especially post-pandemic, because the workforce that started working online went in mass numbers to Mexico since the pandemic. So there's been a huge increase and change in what's going on in Mexico. But Mexico is a lot more developed. It's got its problems, it's got areas of crime, but it's also got areas of extreme safety. I've gone to places where they don't even have locks on the doors of the Airbnbs because they've never had a crime in their history, and they leave their keys in the car in front of the place overnight, every night for years. There's places that are really, really safe.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, and I don't know why, but there's a lot of misinformation about Mexico. And I got extra insurance to take my gear there the first time I went And after being there, I'm like going, oh my gosh, there's so many super safe places. Now there are Mexico City where you don't go to the ATM at night, you know, so there are places that can be dangerous, but again, there's places that are wonderful. The people are super friendly, super wonderful and helpful, good food, close to the United States. There's a lot of really great things about it. If somebody's wanting to try their first attempt at retiring abroad, you know, go do a month or 3 months in some place in Mexico.
Just to see how it is being away from the comforts of home.
Yeah, get an Airbnb for a monthly rental. Go at the beginning of winter or the end when you don't have to compete against the high tourism
The snowbirds that head down there.
Yeah, you know, because December, January, February, it's high season. It's a lot more competitive to get into places. A lot of places in Mexico, you know, June, July, August, September are incredibly hot. So, you know, Puerto Vallarta is wonderful for
That was a
half
spring
the
break
year.
for me.
Yeah, half the year is amazing. You know, 3 months, it's hot. You know, you don't want to be outside of air conditioner.
Have you been into South America itself?
Yeah.
Proper? What countries in South America?
I mean, I've been to several. I've got content on Ecuador. I think I've got a Colombia video. Colombia is a really up and coming spot. Ecuador was one of the super good spots because they had a great healthcare system that you could buy into. Some of that's changed a little bit, so it's not quite as cheap as it was for the healthcare, but still quite good.
A lot of younger bloggers that I've talked to, they go to Colombia.
Colombia's good,
the,
yeah.
The vibe of Colombia. It seems it's not the drug cartel that we remember reading, 20, 30, 40 years ago.
And Colombia is one of those places where there's dangerous places and places that are safer for sure. And it's not as safe as a lot of Southeast Asia, but probably comparable to, the Philippines. And but you can go into those places like Medellin, even Bogota. There's places that are really nice and very affordable, and you can live for under $1,000 a month.
Now let's go into something a little bit more. The women. We'll talk about the women. Now we all know Philippine women have a tendency to not be ashamed to go out with an older man, an older foreigner. Is this the same tendency you would see in Mexico and Colombia, or are they more age? I don't want to say age.
I would say that it's they're a lot broader than what you would see in the United States. I would say that 10 years is not, you see that real commonly. Even, Latin American couples, a lot of times you'll see 20 years.
20 years.
But I would say that it's not as common as what you see here in Southeast Asia. I think Southeast Asia they really don't see age as much as connection.
Much more. I found, and granted, I haven't traveled Thailand or any of these other countries. They seem to have more respect for older people in the Philippines, and I believe it also in Thailand and such.
And Latin America has a lot of that too.
Also.
And a lot of Latin American is very family oriented and open to foreigners and connecting well. So I think you'll find those pluses everywhere. One of the big things you get in the Philippines is the language. So, and one of the things I like is that the people here are wonderful, and it may be good for dating, but you could really make good Filipino friends.
Yes.
And most of my friends here in the Philippines are actually Filipinos. I probably have more friends that are through the art and through scuba diving and different things like that that I've met that are Filipinos. So to be able to culturally connect with people easily, and since Filipino culture is based on Catholicism, which basically keeps us on the same moral, ethical values, which, if you go to a place like Thailand, you've got, things like karma and saving face and more Buddhist backing in the culture, and there's some real disconnects there sometimes, and that with language barrier on top are harder to figure out.
Yes.
Where here, you can connect well with your taxi driver, with somebody at the coffee shop that's a worker. You can talk to the people that are cutting your hair, or whatever, and you can make friends anywhere.
Now, you're also a diver, aren't you?
I scuba dive.
Scuba dive. Where was the best scuba diving you found in all your travels?
It's different, but probably, I mean, Philippines is one of my favorites. I love Napaling Point. I volunteered on a coral restoration project there.
That's in Bohol, right?
Panglao.
Panglao.
And Napaling is an amazing reef. It's a shallow reef right off the shore, so you can walk and be on the reef within 20, 30 feet of the shore. So and that's a beautiful reef. Then you've got a deep wall, so you've got wall diving. The sardines are there sometimes, so you got sardines. You got an amazing reef, shallow reef, and you've got a wall all within snorkeling distance. And sometimes I don't even scuba dive there because I just snorkel because it's so fabulous.
Have you done videos of that?
Yeah, I've got several videos of Napaling Point, Panglao, that area, and that's probably my single favorite little spot. But there's a lot of good spots here. I found some secret spots where I was just on the beach and I saw so many intact shells and coral and everything. I just thought this has got to be an amazing place. Swam out.
So exploring yourself.
And I found world-class reefs just on islands that it's not on anybody's map. There's not a spot.
So where you choose to retire, it's all on your lifestyle.
It's very lifestyle, and I think the positives about the Philippines are it's easy to connect with Filipinos and have Filipino friends. I've been places where I met the owner of the Airbnb and they say, hey, come to a surf competition. We go out and we're gone for 3 days away traveling and meeting friends and staying at people's houses and being fed. And just time and time again, people invite me to Christmas on their fishing boat and different things like that where you connect and make friends, and it's just amazing. So I think that you won't get that in a lot of countries. So for me, coming here, it's the people and it's the nature. Those are the two things I love the most about the Philippines.
So of all the places to retire, if you don't have an exact place in your mind that you want to be, Mexico's a great place to start.
It's a great place to start. All around it's pretty good. It's culturally even though there's a language barrier, many people will speak English and they think very similar. So the jokes are the same, the humor's the same. If you smile, it means the same thing. Not all cultures are like that. So it's a very great first place to go. And you can read, wiki travel and get the ins and outs of what's safe and what's not, and how to get in and how to get out. You can watch the videos. There's a lot of videos.
A lot of videos on that. Now your channel's called
Living Overseas TV.
And overseas, so we'll talk. That's where we are right now. We're in the Philippines. If you were a first-time world traveler, first time you left the U.S. and you were going to go to Southeast Asia, where would you recommend going first for the best experience?
Absolutely. First, I would go to Thailand. One thing is that Bangkok's one of the largest airports in the world. You're probably going to fly through Bangkok no matter where you go in Southeast Asia. That's probably your cheapest ticket. So stop off in Bangkok. I think it's funny because a connotation of Bangkok, sometimes we think of like one night in Bangkok.
The song,
and you think of the red light district. Well, the red light districts are tiny.
Just like in New York City and everywhere else.
So it's, you could go down there and see that, but the thing is, this is a major metropolitan city like New York City, but it's affordable. So you can experience something like New York on the budget of Springfield, Missouri. So you can go to a rooftop restaurant and get a $10 cocktail with a world-class view. You can have food from all over the world.
Do you consider their food to be like the top food in Southeast Asia, or maybe Vietnam?
I think for me, it's definitely one of the best. But the thing is if you're in a city like Bangkok, you can get Malaysian food, you can get French food, you can get Australian steaks, you can get everything, and it's probably at a price that's very affordable. So if you're trying to get, authentic pizza, you can get an Italian pizza right there at the MRT and BRT in Asok. At one of the main cross sections for transportation, there's an Italian restaurant that has all imported items, and you can eat for $10 and get a real, authentic carbonara with cheeses flown in from Italy. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is Thailand is once you hit Bangkok, go out to the islands because that's the real magic.
The magic is not the city.
It's not the city. Hit the city, but then go to the islands because you've got some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And then make that your first stop and then explore,
Would you say that at least 2 weeks there, minimum?
At minimum. I mean, I kind of travel slow. I don't like to go anywhere for less than a week. But a lot of times whenever I fly to Southeast Asia, I spend a week in Bangkok. When I land, get adjusted to the time zone, enjoy some city life, head to the islands. Then I go on to Bali, Philippines, Kuala Lumpur, Vietnam.
So to recuperate from the flight and get readjusted to the climate and everything.
Yeah, don't go too far, and then buy your ticket from there a week, 2 weeks later to your next destination. Or fly into Bangkok, fly out at Phuket, and take the overnight train down and have an amazing experience on the sleeper train. And
that's Janet. Janet's getting her passport. I think we're going to do Thailand. Just so she can go visit a country because she's never been out of the country. But before I lose you, and again, his channel is Living Overseas TV. What's your favorite drink?
My favorite drink?
Yeah.
Should I say the best mojito in the world? Because that's one of my big videos. It's got over 2 million views.
Talk to us about how that video came about.
It's fun. Well, I was with my friend Freddie Flores, who's a world traveler. He had a clothing company called Earth Monster in the 80s. We started traveling down to Guatemala when it was rough and you had to hide your money in your
shoe and your sock.
You sew it into the seam of your backpack, and and the police would rob you, and we got lots of stories.
There was nothing good.
Yeah, it was crazy times back then. But we started traveling, and I've been traveling a lot in my life. But we would do Costa Rica. We did a lot of different countries together. And so we were good travel buddies, and he married a Cuban woman, and he says, "Oh, come down to Cuba." We always liked mojitos, and we would always have mojitos everywhere in Latin America that we would go, Nicaragua, or wherever, Guatemala, Costa Rica, a lot of Central America. So we were on search for the best mojito, and everywhere we would try a mojito, and we finally found a place in Punta Gorda, Cienfuegos, Cuba.
In Cuba.
And the thumbnail, it's got the guy, the Cuban, outfit, and we found this, and he would make, by hand. It takes about 3 minutes to make one mojito. You can't make them like this in a bar. You have to use a simple syrup so you can make them fast. But they don't care about time. They want to make the best one. So we got the recipe online of how to make the best mojito. Just about everybody who tries it says, "Wow, that is really, really good."
I didn't even know what a mojito was until I watched this video.
Yeah.
I'm not a drinker, I don't drink, but it looked like something I would try. It's a great video. He has a bunch of videos, not as many as me. I put them out every day. You're more.
If I get one a month, a lot of times mine are in depth. They've got prices. They've got tours of what you pay for the price. I show the meal and what I paid for it. I do research. I talk to other people who have lived in the places a long time. So you're getting information that's really based on a lot of different things. And it's not just written from, Chat GPT or somebody
Wikipedia.
else's.
Let me see. Iloilo is one of the best places. It's he does a lot of his research. His film work is great. The editing is great. Jan and I just started watching more and more of his videos. Guys, I'll leave a link to the Mojito video, and also a link to his diving off the coast of Panglao. So Jim, thank you for being on the show. Anything you want to share with the audience before you go?
Just don't be afraid. Fear is, a lot of people are afraid to try to take that first step. And the good thing, a good point is, like when I started, I had enough money for 1 year, and what I discovered is that if you're careful, you could probably, like, if you own a house, you could probably rent it out and live off the cash flow. You can probably live for as little as $500 a month in some of these places. Get your side hustle going, make it happen. I left with enough money for 1 year. That money's still in the bank. I've been able to cash flow and work things in, you know, I'm in 7 years now of travel and have been able to keep it going. So don't be afraid, try it, try something easy at first. You know,
You guys have worked hard your whole life. You know, if you have a 401, you know, at 59, you're going to tap into it, or some pension, or you did great and you have savings or rental income. Go explore the world a little bit.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life. Enjoy your retirement. Until next time, see you guys. Thanks, Joe.
nice.
You like it?
Yeah, it's good.